Warehouse, a BEK story. I work mobile security. It's a pretty good gig, even in the wintertime. At most locations, I don't even have to exit the vehicle to scan the security checkpoint. But not at the warehouse. Or should I say, the abandoned warehouse. At the warehouse, you had to exit the car and walk around the perimeter of the building to reach the checkpoint. And it was a huge building, about the size of an airplane hangar. But that wasn't the worst of it. Twice a week, Wednesday and Saturday nights, we had to actually enter the building to ensure everything was okay, that there was no one living in there, no smoke, etc., etc., etc. Worse yet, the interior was filled with rows and tiers of large wooden crates containing who knows what old junk. This large space was bisected by a number of narrow aisles, which we were expected to check, each and every one, in the dark. In the dark, for the interior of the warehouse was only dimly lit by emergency lighting. So, there was nothing for it but grab your flashlight and go for a spooky and claustrophobic walk in the dark. And in silence, too. The interior of the place was deathly still, the only real sound being the crackling of your walkie-talkie. I always wore rubber-soled walking shoes, so my footsteps were muffled. And for some reason, I always found myself trying to be extra quiet, so as not to disturb what? What? Evil spirits? It may have been nonsensical, but I always felt like an intruder in there. This night was no different. I unlocked the door, which seemed to make an inordinate amount of noise, stepped in and called out, "Hello? Hello? Is there anyone there?" Of course, there was never an answer. Thank goodness there was never an answer. I then began a methodical walkthrough, moving around the interior perimeter of the huge building and shining my powerful flashlight down each aisle. Of course, there was nothing. As usual, nothing. Nothing, that is, until I reached the middle aisle, where the beam of my flashlight revealed two kids. Two kids! One was taller, and I felt he was male, while the shorter one I assumed to be a girl. As to ages, 12 for the boy, maybe 8 for the girl. They were both identically dressed in black hoodies, jeans, and black high-top sneakers, so I couldn't be sure of my tentative identification. "What the hell?" I started to say, before remembering my professionalism and barking, "Who's there? Identify yourselves." I started forward on a run, and as soon as I did, the kids were gone. Gone! Vanished! One instant I saw them clearly, but the next moment, as I moved towards them, they vanished. Trick of the light, I told myself. A trick of the light. You're letting your imagination run away with you. Pull yourself together, dude. And then I heard a slight scuffling noise behind me, like the sound of a sneakered foot moving across concrete. And turning around, my flashlight beam revealed two kids standing at the top of the aisle. "Hey, stop where you are! Stop where you are!" I yelled. But the instant I moved towards them, once again, they were gone. Gone! I ran down the aisle, screaming for them to stop. "Stop! Stop where you are!" But when I got to the top of the aisle, there was no sign of them. Was I seeing things? Losing my mind? For once, I was glad I was patrolling alone and that none of the other guys were seeing this. But I was totally creeped out, and a big part of me just wanted to get the hell out of there. But I knew I couldn't do that. And so I made a determined search of the entire building, aisle by aisle, in an attempt to find the kids, all the time calling out, "Hello? Hello? And who's there?" But there was nothing. It must have been my imagination. I must be working too hard. I was just opening the door to exit the warehouse when an eerie, plaintive voice called, "Please don't go, Anthony. Please don't go. Please don't go, Anthony. Please don't go." I slammed out of there fast, standing outside and breathing rapidly. My radio crackled. "Mobile patrol. Come in, please. Mobile patrol." "Yeah?" I yelled. "Mobile patrol?" "Yeah, I mean, yes, mobile patrol." "Where you been, Anthony? We've been trying to contact you for the last half hour." "I'm at the warehouse, and I need a supervisor in attendance." "Is something wrong?" I need a supervisor in attendance." Dispatch finally got with the program, and within 10 minutes, I was joined by Rick, a big burly guy, ex-military. "What's the problem, Anthony?" Of course, I didn't tell him exactly what happened, what I had seen, what I thought I had seen. I didn't want to get fired. So instead, I told him I thought some kids, as in teens, were hiding in the building, and I needed help finding them. "How'd they get in?" Rick questioned. "I don't know," I answered, "but I could hear them." I didn't mention the part about seeing them, too. We re-entered the warehouse, Rick going one way along the perimeter, while I went around the other way. Our plan was to meet in the middle. At least, that was our plan. I had gone 3/4 of the way around without meeting Rick, and I realized I hadn't been hearing him either, hearing the tramp of his boots or the crackling of his radio. Everything was dead silent. "Rick," I called. "Rick!" No answer. I started down the perimeter, moving fast, all the time calling out, "Rick! Hey, Rick!" I thought I heard a burst of static from a radio. And then I was back to where we had started, and I stopped dead. Rick's walkie-talkie lay on the cold, hard floor, along with his security ID. I heard a noise from behind me, and whirling around, I saw them coming towards me along the perimeter and down the various aisles were kids in black hoodies, jeans, and black high-top sneakers, kids with white faces and black smudges for eyes, the black-eyed kids, the BEK, the black-eyed children. Anthony, oh Anthony, please don't go. Don't go. Don't you want to play? No, I didn't want to play with them anymore. I turned to flee and ran straight into the arms of Rick, who pushed his smiling face into mine, into mine, into mine so I could see his eyes, his black eyes, his two orbs of Stygian darkness. Black eyes, BEK eyes, and then everything went black. It was 10-7. Repeat, 10-7. Anthony signing out. The moral of the story: who says security work is child's play? If this is your first visit to my channel, please consider subscribing. My name is Warren, and I write and tell original ghost stories and original horror stories featuring such cryptids as the Night Floaters, werewolves, and the Black-Eyed Children. So again, please consider subscribing. Please help me to reach my goal of 2,500 subs in 2022. Please! Till midnight. Cheers! Pictures used in today's video, courtesy of Pix here, that's PX here, while the music was the incredibly spooky Come Play With Me by that patron of the internet, Kevin MacLeod.